You're great. I was like getting pumped about it. I was making my coffee earlier, and I was like, man, I'm feeling good about this one. Like we got Colin back on the pod. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be high energy. I like it. I like it. What's going on, everyone? This is our, I don't know, I think it's the 14th episode of Mid Curve, which is kind of cool. Andrew,
Yeah.
we've done some. We're here. We're kind of established now.
Yeah, we're arriving. 3,000 Twitter followers. I had to like upgrade my equipment. I've got some cool guy lights. We're gonna get these stuff up on the wall soon.
We're getting professional now.
That's
This
right.
is this is getting serious. But yeah, so we have Colin back on the pod. We've had him on before. You were one of our first podcast guests, and of course, as I've dubbed you the nicest man in crypto, I am very excited to have you back on the podcast. Actually, like, random story. We just met at Mountain DAO, maybe fortuitously, even before I had you on the pod, where you sat down next to me while we were eating, and you just like struck up a conversation as the nicest man in crypto would. And I was like, you know what? I like this guy. I feel like we're going to be friends. So I don't know if for people who didn't see the first one, sorry to like derail us, but for the people who didn't see the first one, can you give a little bit of a background on what you're building?
Yeah. There's not much I haven't touched in crypto. And right now I'm focused on few-target governance using markets with MetaDAO. I'm involved in the validator ecosystem. I've built RPCs, trading strategies. So there's not much I haven't touched. There's not much I haven't played with. I would not say I'm an expert by any means, but I know how to be dangerous, I'd say.
That's a great explanation. Andrew, do you want to talk about MetaDAO first? Or do you
Yeah, a
want to
little
go
bit.
jump straight into the
I'm just, I'm deeply sympathetic to what it must be like to build a governance product. As somebody who, works in governance, the moment you mention it, people fall asleep a little bit. But I think Futarchy is particularly interesting, and MetaDAO is particularly interesting because right now people can make money off of this thing. I think that there's stuff you can do with it that makes it materially different from a lot of other governance products out there. And so, would love to hear about, give you a chance to let the people what you have, let them know what you have going on, and particularly this recent drift vote, because it seems like a decent amount of money got distributed. But I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah. So starting from where governance is today with one token, one vote, we have realms on Solana, we have snapshot on Ethereum, and various other things that are going on in the ecosystem. And we've reproduced broadly what we have in other organizational structures like shareholders and classes of this stuff. It's not equity. It's non-equity, non-securities.
We built corporate governance without the stock. Very important.
It's a utility token and a governance token, purely. But no, so that's where we are right now, and this is an innovative step in governance in the fact that you use markets to make the determination of a decision rather than having a threshold of quorum and a threshold for yes to no votes or any other kind of configurations that you set up with a normal voting system that exists on chain right now. And what that affords you to do is people come out to assess the value of the proposal if it was to occur. Like, so should we do this is the question that you ask, or should we not do this? And what creating markets affords is the opportunity to price or assign a value to a potential outcome with the vote in that case. But you don't vote, you trade. Because these are markets. And what somebody has explained it to be has been like you create a fork, and while you're in this state, the outcome is unknown, but the outcome of the decision is unknown. But whichever ends up being the higher price is the outcome, the decision that is made by the organization. So that affords this very different activity, like you highlighted there, which is like you have the opportunity to profit by bringing alpha into the ecosystem, and you get a lot of underlying principles of market theory, why people trade, why people can be profitable in that, and you surface people that have information to trade off of, right? So you get some interesting information surfaced, and then also you don't need too much participation. You just need effective participation, right? That you're trying to assess a value. So as long as you have two parties that are pulling at each other, you can derive a value from that. So I think that that's really cool, underpinning that you don't need quorum, right? You don't need attention. If it's accurately priced, it's accurately priced. You don't need. There's no action or activity that necessarily needs to happen.
Break this down for me, because I think I can conceptually understand this. But let's say a DAO wants to do a thing, or somebody wants a DAO to do a thing. What are the steps? What are the possible complications? What does like I think even somebody with a passing understanding of crypto DeFi stuff knows how a governance proposal works. How does a futarchy proposal work, and what's the flow?
Yeah. So, decentralized autonomous organization means that, and permissionless access here means that anybody can put forth a proposal, just like right now. But in DAO governance, for many DAOs, they'll set a threshold for who can propose things. There's reasons we do that, different attack vectors that we're sensitive to. So it can make sense in that case. But in this case, for us, it's just a matter of liquidity provision, because we use an AMM in our implementation for this. So there is a spam prevention mechanism that is, you got to provide whatever the DAO's criteria and settings that they initialize the DAO with. So in our case, I think it's, something like $5,000 on both sides. So it's $10,000 to put up a proposal. Now that's a liquidity provision, which means you get that back after, minus any IL or any of the activities that occur in the AMM. And then on the other side of that, you want to create a tradable proposal. So I think that's the other thing in here that may be typically challenging for people that want to participate in governance, is that the proposal has to have information that can be understood and then has an opportunity for speculation or understanding on how to value it. So you'll see a lot more in our proposals, a lot more business use cases, a lot more estimations and pricing modeling with certain things like this. And I think that leads to more effective governance, because you are bringing stuff to the table that has something that moves the needle, rather than just cursory business day-to-day stuff. So that gets created. The proposal settings that we have right now are 3 days. We started with 10, we went to 5, now we're at 3. Those markets get created. Anybody can trade them. You deposit the underlying token, which in the case of Jito would be Jito, and for us it's Meta. And then you can deposit USDC as well, and then you can either allocate liquidity or you can swap. And you can swap based on what your price valuation is in the market.
Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, I was going to let you go anyway, but
Oh.
well, I just wanted to give you a chance. Tell us about some, aside from the launch, obviously. What are some recent wins, and what are you looking forward to in terms of next steps for this platform?
I think it's been really interesting to see the user journey for this, that people have explored proposals for DAOs that they never pay attention to in other places, or just like go through this and look at opportunities to trade. And then the social activity of watching this and, like speculating on, oh, this person's doing that. So I really want to lean into that user behaviors. So we've definitely built features out, and we had planned features for this stuff. You take away somebody's principal activity of voting, which people are used to in this ecosystem. So that's a huge divergence. But I think if you can bring back additional social components, that's going to be really interesting. I'm really keen on a feature that I don't really want to talk about, but I'll say it anyway. Replaying the markets so that you can watch as these things happen through proposals. Because we have price charts, because these are traded markets, I think that that will be really good for review and analysis on behavior. So anything I can do to bring back the social component and then have a historical record of this, because this is, a traded market which has a proposal that is part of a autonomous organization. So
You good?
I was given a chance
You're
for
good?
rest. We're off, man. We haven't been on at the same time for like 3 weeks. We got to get back
I
into it.
know, I know. Our timing is a little off. We'll get
Yeah.
it back. We'll get it back. But yeah, I've been doing these by myself for a while now, so I'm just used to like. But now I'm trying to give Andrew, Plus, Andrew, you're more of an expert on DAOs and proposals than I am anyway. So you should really be the one talking about this. I don't want to let my mid curve show too much. What was that? Isn't like a Mark Twain quote? It's better to be thought an idiot, like keep your mouth shut and be thought an idiot, than open your mouth and remove all doubt. Something like that.
yeah,
Something like that.
don't argue with an idiot. They'll drag you down to their level and beat you to the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's my whole strategy here is just keep my mouth shut. Let the people who know what they're talking about, go for it. So
Someone to love me the way my camera loves going out of focus. There we go.
yeah, I know.
Fuck.
What is going on with that? Is it wipe off can you clean it with your sleeve really quick? See if that helps. It might just be that the lens is dirty.
I'm gonna say a joke here, but it's because it's all the same shade.
No, I'm very red today. It's a
His
problem.
t-shirt and his wall. It's like, what am I supposed to focus on?
Yeah, it's very confused. Fucking poor thing.
Dude, you know what's funny is I actually thought that too. Like you're like the shirt, and I don't know if it's the lighting. It might just be the
Yeah.
lighting. It's like there's no like depth between the wall and you, and I think it's the lighting.
Right. All right, we'll work on this.
Sorry.
I need my reading notes.
You need those LED lights behind you. So let's okay. We have been
We need to get back on track,
derailed. This podcast has been derailed. Let's hone it back in, boys. Like, let's get some level of professionalism going here. So I mean, first let's talk about Breakpoint. Let's talk about Solana in general and the Solana community in general. This is kind of a community podcast, I feel like. So we have Breakpoint coming up. I just want to get your thoughts on like what's going on at Breakpoint. Does MetaDAO have anything interesting? Can you give us an announcement from Breakpoint?
Those are the classic, like big news tomorrow. It's going to be an announcement later. No, we're speaking at Solana Summit right now. We're in Kuala Lumpur, so that'll be the next thing. And then definitely really interested in engaging the broader audience, massaging this messaging so that we can be effective at communicating this understanding. And so I don't have any plans right now. I'm really encouraged to see adoption and experimentation with this. So our doors are open to run these experiments with different DAOs. And if anybody has any suggestions or ideas or curiosities about it, I know that we've got Drift that has put it as one of their pillars for their grants operation. And I think that there's other things that we can do and other interesting things within the DAO ecosystem that we can empower and start to get decentralized autonomous back in the name of organizations on chain. So
Perfect. Okay, so like maybe I should have stepped back before we even got into Breakpoint and talked about like APAC in general. And because I know right now, like, well, first of all, one of our goals is to break into APAC and kind of like, work our way into the communities over there. And right now, I know that you're in Malaysia. So maybe like, I guess my question is like, how has your experience been in Malaysia? Like, what kind of builders have you met there? What's going on in Malaysia as far as like Solana and DAOs and just building in general?
yeah, it's actually been quite amazing experience, and I really have to tip my hat to the people that are out here, the ecosystems that have been created and fostered. It was very easy to get connected. to Super Team Malaysia, and then the people that they are interacting and interfacing with in Singapore, Vietnam, around the APAC region. Um, so it was really interesting to come someplace where the groundwork was already started, and they've got a team of builders. Obviously, Jupiter's here. We have CoinGecko here. There's SoulScan, and then in the broader region, there's just so much that's going on. So it was really encouraging to come in and then be welcomed into the community as builders, and that was I really have to give it to Henry and then Kate that have built Super Team Malaysia out, and then what they put on with Solana Village this past week, and then the Solana Summit. So I'm really encouraged to see those individuals out here, and because you have the teams out here, it certainly offers some insight and gravity to start to pull things in. And I think that the ecosystem definitely has room to grow, but also real big hunger and capacity for this stuff. I think that we address real problems in this space. I think that you are tapping into fractured markets that definitely have the opportunities there. And overall, my impression of Asia was guided off of my experience with Taiwan, unfortunately, and then coming to Malaysia, it's just been eye opening and such a wonderful experience. So I can't thank everybody enough that's been over here and been so gracious with us, and really encouraged to see that like the groundwork's been laid. If you're considering, bringing a team, moving a team, building boots on the ground here, I think that you'd be well advised to do that, and then you'd be properly enabled by people that understand the regions and understand the challenges that are here.
Cool. Wait, why did you say your view was influenced by Taiwan? Unfortunately.
Well, because like it's very restricted. It's like going to the United States and seeing New York and being like, that's the United States. So like I have not traveled APAC extensively, so that I can't speak to like Singapore or Vietnam, unfortunately. Um, so like even Taiwan's just this its own existence and its own isolation for it. Malaysia's really interesting, like Singapore, very unique that there's almost everybody's English speaking. So if you want to navigate around, Taiwan was, signage and everything else, but you still probably needed to get around with Mandarin. But um, you know, I think it was never on my radar, right? Like Kuala Lumpur was not on my radar, and that's because of who I am, and that's the unfortunate aspect of it. But I'm glad that it is now. I'm glad that I've got to experience it, and I really am quite impressed with the teams that are here and what they're trying to accomplish.
It did kind of jump out to me that you mentioned like three teams that I talk with on like a near daily basis. It's I think it really feels like some of these APAC markets really are very cloistered compared with like the broader crypto economy, or even just like US and Europe.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like there's as much of a sort of gulf there. Different people are talking about different projects, but it sounds like Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia might be the exception to that, or is that do I just have the wrong impression there?
No. I mean, like, obviously, we're gonna work with the largest teams that have struck out, and that just so happens that they have been here and they built the ecosystem around them. Not through, I mean, through sheer hard work and everything else that goes along with it, right? But like Jupiter is the largest aggregator on Solana, so you are going to interface with them wherever they were in the world. The opportunities here, I think that there are gravity wells that cultivated and offered this opportunity for people, and then brought the who's here together. So I'm encouraged by that. But yeah, like it was interesting. We were just talking with the Malaysian government that's in charge, or the ministry that's in charge with management of the growth of the digital economy, and then like the Securities and Exchange Commission from the Malaysian government, which like came out to this event and said, hey, we've got regulatory frameworks that we're working with people. We're interested in growing the digital economy. We've cut, like we've certainly accelerated paths for this stuff. So I think that this has been quite interesting to see come into a new environment, into a new government that's not, actively like, hey, you're going to be under subpoena. Hey, you're going to be under subpoena if you want to do this. And so I'm quite encouraged by that. And I think that that's the opportunity for crypto companies. Crypto kind of exists in this vacuum, right or wrongly, but it does. And I think that if you can afford that for builders and participants in it, then they will gravitate towards a lot of like things that they like. From one thing that I've heard from Malaysians that are here is that Malaysians that are capable engineers or do they end up really like living in Malaysia, so they want to live in Malaysia, and they do want to occupy Malaysia. And then like people that have higher aspirations will go out, and you get brain drain. And then Singapore will import a lot of its founders because of risk appetite and other things. So I think that there's like this isn't without issue, but I think the efforts of building a Solana ecosystem community that you don't have to start from scratch, and you don't like wonder who's here or who do I talk to. I think that's been really impressive, and it's not something that I've had because North America, we get a lot of the stuff anyway. So I experiencing that firsthand, I know that that's no small effort from the people that like have to do that and have to build that. So
Even for all the problems, the idea of a regulatory body that's showing up to like a community event, that is mind-boggling to me. Like that's not a reality in which I exist currently.
But that's happening all over Asia, which is really actually encouraging. Like that happened in Hong Kong as well. They held a big event and they invited like all regulatory bodies down to come see it. And a lot of people, a lot of banks and everyone came down, and essentially the stance of the government was you will participate. You will participate in this and you will help these people build this because it's kind of the future, which was really interesting to see. Now, I don't know if we've seen like um the volume that one would like to see in the Hong Kong ETFs yet, but I think it will come eventually. But yeah, so like on that note, like I just want to get your view on the future of APAC. Everyone kind of says it's the future of this industry that we're in. Do you believe that?
yeah, absolutely. It's each has its own nuances as explained to me. Each has its own appetites and its own markets for it. Japan has interesting markets. South Korea has interesting markets. And what's been emphasized to me that if you're a team that wants to, get into these APAC markets, it's fractured. So you do need boots on the ground. You do need to understand this, and I think that you'd be well advised to, participate and start to engage the community out here, and at least start to understand it, if nothing else. Because it's not just something that you throw money at advertisement, or you just say, oh, it's a huge enough market that we'll be able to penetrate. Like even the Hong Kong, you used the example from Hong Kong. That's drastically different set of investors and a different market and different appetites and different uh, ways in which you've got to interface with that stuff. So I think that that's been really really interesting to understand, right? Like we say APAC, right? Like, but that's so many different things, and it's like, oh well, you're just going to hit that market. It's not like North America where it's like, oh, Canada and the United States is pretty much the same Diet Coke version of the United States. Sorry, Canadians. But I've lived in your country for 5.5 years. I think I understand it a little bit.
That's so funny. Wait, hold on. Did you call it the Diet Coke version of
Of
America?
America, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what do you have? Diet Coke out here just taking strays. What do you have against Diet Coke?
I was going to say
Nothing. I love
Canada
Diet
out here
Coke. It's
taking
my
strays.
favorite. It's my favorite. Diet Coke's my favorite. I
Coke,
can't get it here in Malaysia. They only have Coke Zero.
Coke
So
Zero.
yeah,
You know why that is? It's because there's so much unhealthy chemicals in Diet Coke. The rest of the world like won't allow it. It's illegal. So,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, it's the fuel of like my short term thinking brain. That's just like everything else that I've been exposed to. I'm sure Diet Coke's not the worst
yeah.
thing.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly. Cool. I mean, that's So I think I kind of wrap that one up on Asia. Andrew, do you want to jump into anything else like Solana or Judo or anything else you want to go?
I mean, we could spend a few minutes talking about some of these recent votes. Colin, you played a pretty big role in a couple of them. Obviously, have a major lift helps out as a delegate behind the scenes a lot, but also, you're a very vocal member of the community as well. I guess let's pick one and spend a minute or two on it and then go from there.
Yeah. So y- you know, expanding the validate. I'm really interested in like the transfer of authority over to JIP 3, but that's not up for vote yet. But I think expanding the validator set. These are good signals, and these are the things that governance is there for. So I'm happy to talk about any of that stuff. I mean, the second one has a financial incentive element to it, so that may, like, it's an actual transfer instruction. There was something that was executed on it, so I'm happy to discuss either of them. But um, process worked. You've got delegates out there voting. You have I think you guys do well with the calls, offering like multiple opportunities. Has certainly been engaging in that conversation. The forums have definitely had people that come in and have participated. I wouldn't say that, like, it's necessarily surprising, but I do think that there's a way to go about this that affords the opportunity to do it right. And I think that so far I've been broadly overall impressed with what's been produced. And then I'm really encouraged to the first, um, like, full community proposal, right? Like the like community wants to do something, and then, like, I'm sure that there needs to be a lot of support to get that out. But it is a little bit surprising to me that we've only had, I think, one that's been proposed from in a draft stage for it. But I maybe there's a better job to do there, or set an initiative out from, even in a form of governance that says, hey, like, here are the broad pillars that we want to encourage people to do, and here's some incentive structures to start to get people out there to do it. But yeah, it was interesting to see Blockworks come in and have comments about Gauntlet's structure and feedback for the for the liquidity mining research stuff. And definitely interesting to see. I think I was caught off guard that the Cheeto Foundation had engaged Gauntlet from the outset, right? I think that there's these things that are going on behind the scenes, but it's definitely encouraging because it means that you're monitoring the right things and you're taking a look at the right places to say, like, these are important things for JTO token. This is important for Cheeto Soul. So
You were surprised? Did you underestimate it? We're professional over here.
well, listen,
Andrew is on top of things. How dare you?
Well, I was more surprised in the fact that, like, like, it was engaged. That just did happen.
Actually,
It wasn't like, hey, should we engage Gauntlet, or like, like, announcing, hey, we're gonna definitely assess and evaluate liquidity mining strategies. We, as a foundation, are pushing forward with these initiatives. That's where we get into this interesting thing about DAO governance and where it stops, where it begins. What are the day-to-day operations? What is important information to convey to the community? What isn't important information to convey to the community? We have a lot of armchair business operators. I've never met such a huge distribution of business experts that own tokens and crypto. Like, I mean, we must be the luckiest people in all of history, because, like, these people ran multi-million dollar, multi-exited. Like, I mean, it's mind-boggling. So I'm really grateful and gracious that, like, maybe revealing more may surface a lot more of that expertise and understanding. So
yeah, I mean, from my perspective, it's a funny position to be in. I ostensibly have a lot of power in the DAO. I write a lot of proposals and sort of run the meetings and things like that. I also don't have any fucking voting power. And so, like the process of trying to do the things that I think are right are often like these exercises in consensus building, exercises in actually getting the community to work. But to that extent, I think it'd also be very easy to sort of just pick and choose people who will say yes to me all the time. But instead, one of the things we tried to do is like get a lot of people who are ostensibly competitors, right? Multiple validators, multiple research outlets, multiple different groups that you know all have the best interest, hypothetically, of Jito in mind, but not necessarily for each other. And therefore, it does create these moments where there is genuine, feedback and people looking over each other's shoulders and making sure it's going well. And so it's good to hear that that process is working at least the way we intended. But no, I
Right.
agree. I'm wondering if we can figure out how to get more genuine community involvement, and maybe the grants spot is a place to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you are a benevolent dictator, Andrew, and I appreciate that about you.
Dictators have far more power than I do.
Yeah, that's true.
I
I was gonna
can't. I
say
can't
that.
tell anybody, bro. Like,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're I don't know. I don't even know what you would be considered in this position. But I think that's
very much a bureaucrat. Like
you're a
that's
bureaucrat.
that's it.
You're a benevolent bureaucrat. That's what you are, which is very rare, obviously. Those don't really exist. So you're a unicorn, man. Let's wrap it up here because we're coming up on time. And Colin, do you want to say anything else or leave the people with any encouraging or enlightened thoughts?
Yeah, I think the amount of people that have stuck with Solana is like it's amazing, right? Like, I mean, we came through, the experience that we did, and I want to, certainly shout out to that because the communities that still exist could have easily collapsed. A lot of this opportunity, the people that have this experience with these Solana builders are genuinely impressed, and that says a lot about it, right? These are people that are building in another blockchain space, but they're paying attention and they're moving attention to Solana. So I definitely want to shout out to all the people that stick around with it, all the people that are in the trenches, and all the people that are communicating this. I don't think that that's small effort or small energy. And I'm really encouraged to see that because even people that I've been talking to for multiple years about this at this point are finally coming around, and like that's no small effort. And I'm really really excited to see that. And shout out to Malaysia, shout out to Kuala Lumpur, and Singapore. We've got our debates going on right now on who has the better food and who has the more interesting cultures. But I'll let them debate that.
Well,
I have no claim, but
That's that's funny because like Singapore is essentially, I mean, a lot of it is like Singaporean Mandarin, but it's also a lot Malay, right? There's like there's a lot of Malay food there. So I don't know. I'm not gonna get in the middle of this argument because I'm an outsider. I've been to both. I love both, and both. I sound like Trump right there. I've been to both. I love both. They love me.
Good noodles.
Good noodles. Yeah. But yeah, I think like to end it, I want to turn around and say thank you to you, Colin, for sticking around all this time and for proselytizing to the world the um the good of Solana. So man, and just thank you for all the work you do and for just being a
And that
genuinely
sick battle
awesome person.
speech yours now. Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
Yeah. It
Let's
seems
go.
like every time we have someone on here, we get one of these speeches. Like Solana Legend gave the like we're ready to ride it to zero speech. Colin just gave this speech. Every time I get on here, I get fired up about what we're
Yeah.
doing.
well, it takes that, right? Like that's what I've been talking to people about here, where like you need this thing because we're in the trenches for so long that like you definitely can get dissuaded, and all you need is somebody that you can borrow a bit of energy from, get some words of motivation, because like it's a thankless job in so many ways, and like we in many cases maybe grinding against each other for this, right? Like this isn't always a positive sum game. And I think that it's important to recognize people for their superpowers when you can, and this is it's amazing that where we are today. I'll just say that much. Coming from 10 years ago to where we are today, I'm just like, yes, keep it going.
That's the perfect place to end it. Thank you, my friend.